What's up, Bulldogs? All right, I wanted to do a video talking about whether I changed my philosophy. And what I'm talking about is there was a time where I would have characterized myself, and many people would characterize me as a red pill. And so has that actually changed? And if so, have I given up, and did I get married and become a blue pill simp? Or the pill thing is just kind of getting ridiculous at this point. But I wanted to address this because I think a lot of people maybe have lost faith in me and think that I'm being swayed or that I've lost that thing that I had. And it's kind of disturbing because this is so multifaceted that I think it requires a really detailed look at this in analysis. So let's talk about, first of all, what the red pill philosophy initially was, right? So, and how I got into this. So I remember reading Rollo Tomasi's book, The Rational Male, a long time ago, close to when it first published and when kind of the beginnings of Bulldog mindset. And even when I first read this book, you can go back and watch the video where I did a review on it. And I talked about how this is really good. This is really good information. However, it's a bit jaded. And that was my hesitation with recommending the book, was that you should read this and you should understand some of these fundamental truths about female nature. But you should be careful not to become jaded like this book is and seeing these things as a negative. Instead, to see them as some truths that the light is being shined on. In fact, one of the metaphors I like to use is that of a game that you were playing before that you didn't know the rules, and now you know the rules, and now are you going to be upset because you know the rules and you don't like the rules? No, we're not going to be upset about that. We're going to simply alter our strategy. In fact, that's a great thing. It's wonderful to know these things. These things already existed. How women were already existed, and now we're aware of it, right? So, and that's how sort of red pill type of philosophy started, was we just want to find the truth and we're not going to be emotionally reactive. It was sort of a stoic red pill. And with that, I was subscribed to that. I said, okay, this is good. And there were some panels that I was on. I'm going to talk about some of these panels with some guys, including Rollo. And on those panels, if you watch those panels, and you can watch some of those early ones, I was always the advocate for not hating women and, in a way, defending some of the positions that women hold to try to make this as neutral as possible. It's like, this is just information. Let's not shame. Let's not try and say women are bad or wrong because of these behaviors. This is instinct. Here's a good example of this, right? Because this is one that women get offended by. I was just having this conversation with my wife, and we did a podcast episode, Better Than Perfect podcast. Go watch it if you haven't. And we were talking about how men are attracted. The primary attractors that men look for in women is youth and beauty. Those are the primary thing. Obviously, there's other secondary attributes that are more character related, but men are mostly looking at the visual, and youth and beauty are sort of the primary things. And it's not a truth that a lot of women want to hear. When they hear things about the wall and things like that, it's upsetting to them, and rightfully so. You would be upset if you knew that there was a wall that your value dramatically dropped and most of your value was in your youth and beauty to men. And so the thing about that is that I want to present that truth in a way that we're not going to shame men, right? Like men shouldn't be shamed because that's their biological instinct, is to prefer youth and beauty, right? It makes sense, right? It's like, you can't control that. So anyways, so my point with this is that is how I approached the red pill philosophy back then. It's still how I approach it. Nothing has actually changed in that respect. And if you go to those panels and you watch me talking on those panels, you will see that I have continued and always been an advocate for treating women right, for having respect for women, and for understanding their position as well, but empathizing definitely with the man's position in understanding these things about female nature, right? Taking them as what they are, not creating an interpretation that wants to shame women for the way that they behave. Now, obviously, there's behaviors that are not completely biologically based, and we have to control our biological urges. Obviously, those things are important. But what I'm saying is that the base nature of how women are, I'm not going to shame them for, and I never did. And so I did feel at the time that a lot of the philosophy, a lot of the guys in this space, they were more so on that side, more so on the side of, it was a little bit sometimes extreme of some anger and some hatred towards women, but it wasn't very much. And when I had those conversations, I was respected by those men for bringing up these points and having this position that was a balanced position, and they invited me to speak on these things and talked with me, and we had dialogues and discourse that I think was valuable and useful. Now, we've got the whole Andrew Tate thing that came into the quote manosphere, and I had one of the first interviews with Andrew Tate. I identified him quickly, and I brought him onto my platform when he had no platform. Right, I was one of the guys that you could say discovered Andrew Tate. Okay, believe it or not, go back and look at the video record and you can see that it's not a boast in any way. And when I had this conversation with Andrew, we aligned on a lot of things. And again, I do think that a lot of what Andrew Tate has to say, or had to say, I think it might have shifted more so, was very much not against women. If you listen to the full interview I did with him, I don't think there's much that I had said in that interview or that he has said that I would disagree with today. Maybe there's a little bit. I haven't gone back and listened to it in a while. So that made sense at that time. Now, what's happened since with Andrew Tate and some of the controversy around that and a lot of the things that have come out about some of the things that he's done in his history and his own statements has definitely moved me to distance myself from him. Okay. Again, I think my understanding of talking to him personality wise and a lot of the ideals, I think is good, but there's a lot of things that perhaps I don't share with his value system and his views. And I think some of those things have changed over time. One instance that I have always talked about is that when he made his deplatforming video, when he got deplatformed, and he said that he would be a little bit more responsible with the way that he talks, and he should have because so many people follow him. I respected that, and I shared that with people who did not like him. And then when he got his Twitter account back, all bets are off, right? And if you look at the account now and you see the kind of stuff that's coming out, a lot of it's not coming from a place of love. And I get it. I still agree with some of his points, obviously, but it's not the kind of masculine energy that I subscribe to. And yeah, if he wanted to get on this channel at this point and hash it out, talk to me about it, I would be open to that. I would not say anything on a video that I would not say to his face. So I haven't talked to him in a while. So anyway, that kind of brings us to, what happened in that space. So that was sort of the beginning of the end of what I would say is the Manosphere and the red pill space. There was so much infighting, and this was something that I was trying to resolve. Like, okay, guys, we don't need to go into these factions and attack each other. There was the whole 21 convention and Anthony Johnson and then Rollo Tomasi against that, and then the masculine excellence with Donovan Sharp, and like all these kind of bickering, infighting type of things where I get it. Like if you don't agree with a person, you don't think that they're a quality person, leave it be. But attacking them constantly and saying bad stuff about them and bickering like high school girls, I just wasn't about that. That was some of the things I was like, this is not the values that I subscribe to. And then what started to happen was that more shock type of content was being created and more sort of hatred towards women, and look at all this stuff that's going on and how women are so bad. And I was not about that either. I never have been about that. And so I just definitely decided to distance myself from that and no longer even really call myself red pill, because I believe in the core philosophy as we discovered these things, right? I was one of the primary guys involved in that space, but it's changed, it's morphed. It's become a lot of the victim mindset that feminism was and that we're saying is wrong with the world. This woke kind of victim mindset has actually become stronger on the men's side now, which is a problem because it's a counter movement, right? It's a reactionary type of movement. I get that, to extreme feminism. But now women in general are more coming out of that and wanting to be more traditional. And now they're having a hard time finding men. And I get it. It's like, okay, karma, whatever. Guys say that, but that's not cool. It doesn't solve any problems for humanity or for men and women trying to actually build a relationship and to move forward. We have to have compassion and love for each other and understanding for both sides. And that's, again, if you want to really get a balanced approach of this, where I talk about this all the time, go to the Better Than Perfect podcast that I do with my wife, and we talk about those things, right? So where does this take me? I think a lot of the content that I'm creating now, and I'm doing the podcast with my wife, a lot of guys are like, oh, well, John was this kind of pickup artist type of guy. He was this red pill type of guy, right? Very masculine. And now he's become soft. He's become weak. He's changed his philosophy. He's abandoned this, and he's probably done this for this woman. Okay. Now, let's be honest. Does being with my wife have an influence on my philosophy and being in a really good, intimate relationship that is a wonderful relationship? Yeah, it does. It does have an influence because I understand some things from a female perspective a little bit more than I did before. Now, but remember, I was always an advocate. I just gained understanding. And it's important to understand that over time, you should be growing in wisdom and you should be learning. And a lot more of the place that I'm coming from with my content now is coming from a place of love. I also have a 13-year-old daughter, and I have become a lot more of an involved parent since I had my divorce, and I have also adopted some of that into what I'm creating. And so I have realized also that masculine energy, one of the most powerful parts of masculine energy, is what I call protective love. And that is really one of the biggest components of masculine energy, is this protective love. And so it might look like to the outside that I'm weaker, that I've changed my tune, that now I'm just simping to the female narrative or worldview. But I assure you, I'm not. A lot hasn't changed from my initial viewpoints, but some things have. And I like to think that I have grown in wisdom over these years. And I understand that a lot of people are upset by these things and some of the things I'm saying. And it might seem sometimes that I'm shitting on men. When I tell men that they need to stand up and have pride in being a man and how to lead, and that they need to be the financial caretakers, that it is harder for men, that it's not fair and it shouldn't be fair. And you should take pride in the fact that it's more difficult for you as a man. And that is what it means to be a man, right? When I say no 50-50 relationships, don't have women pay for things, like have some pride. I understand that can come across as that I don't have empathy for men and that I'm a traitor to the other side. That's not the case. I'm directly on your side because I'm trying to get you to step up and be a man. I'm trying to teach you these things that really are going to have the biggest impact in your life. Because I can tell you that the number one thing that's going to have the greatest impact in your life is going to be the woman that you're with and how you lead her. And if you lead a woman in the right direction, she can be a huge asset in your life. But if you don't, and you don't know how to handle a woman and how to validate her emotions and to be gentle with her and still instructive and lead, to be masculine in relationship, as I talk about, then your life is going to be miserable. It doesn't matter what other things that you achieve or accomplish in life, because it will be torn apart. And I know this from experience. And so, did I change my philosophy? Not really. It grew. Okay. That's the answer, is it grew. Now, do you want to classify me into some kind of a pill? Do you want to call me a tradcon now? Okay, sure. I'll take the label if you want it. That's closer. What I call the thing that my wife and I do in the podcast, we call it modern traditional relationships, because it's traditional. I'm the man. She's the woman. I'm dominant. She's submissive. I lead. I protect and provide. She takes care of the house and the children and supports me. Okay, that is how it is. But the difference today from 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it is that it's not out of necessity. It's a willing submission because she trusts me and she trusts my authority. She trusts my decisions. She trusts me as a man. And that's something that you have to create and earn as a man. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys how to do. So I hope that clears things up. If you have questions about this, if you doubt what I'm saying, challenge me. Go ahead, leave a comment down below, send me an email. We'll talk about it. I'll do more videos about it. Maybe we'll do a live stream where you can ask me those questions directly and you can challenge these viewpoints. But I've been around for a while now. I've done a lot of things. I have been a dork. I have been a stud. I've done pickup. I've taught pickup. I've been married and divorced and remarried, and I've been a parent, and a lot of different things. I've put on a lot of different hats, and I've learned a lot in those scenarios. And that's what I'm sharing with you. Like, I have found what actually works and what is actually beneficial. There's not a single person that I know, a single couple that I know that has a better relationship than the one that I have with my wife. We have a fantastic, amazing relationship. She's an amazing woman, but it's hard to put a value on that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want you to have that, and I want to show you how to have that. And the way to have that is the things that I'm teaching you now. So if you don't like it, I get it. Unsubscribe, go somewhere else. It's fine. Listen to the kind of garbage that's out there and see how life is. And maybe after a few years, when that's not working out for you, you'll come back here and you'll say, okay, well, let me see what John has to say now. It's fine. You're welcome anytime. I'm not going to, you got to make your own choices and decisions. So if you like this, if you feel like this is right on, do me a favor, leave a comment, put a thumbs up on the video. And if you want to go really in depth and you want to support what I'm doing now, because believe me, it's not so popular, right? In the sense that these are hard messages to hear. People don't like this. Join the Bulldog Mindset membership. Click the link down below and become part of this positive movement that's going to change the world. It will. One man at a time. We're going to do it. I'll see you tomorrow.